Hello, hello. Thanks for joining me today at Collage of Health. If you are returning, I appreciate you coming back to the channel. And if you are new here, welcome. Today, what I'd like to do is share the Akashic weather report that I got in the ethers, so to speak, when I went into meditation or after meditation. And also would like to just follow up on little pieces of past information that I've gotten in the Akashic records and how it has relevance to what's happening in the news these days. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the process I use to go into the Akashic records. So the first thing that I do is I light a candle and I spend some time in meditation. So I try to center my awareness. I meditate both with my eyes opened and my eyes closed. And then I do some breath work, some pranayama. And the type of pranayama I do is based on Dr. Vasant Lad's signature grouping of breath work that I was taught through the Ayurvedic Institute. And I don't do every single one of them, but I do, I think I do 5 out of the 7. I do Kapalabhati, Analoma Viloma, Agnisar, Brahmari, Ujjayi, and Ujjit. So I guess I do 6. I think that's 6. So I do all of those every morning. And then what do I do next? Then I say some prayers. I say the prayers from school. And some of this I've just added in the last 3 months. Before I had my own protocol that was slightly different. But in the last 3 months, this is what I've done. I say the prayers that we learned in school, and those are 3 prayers for opening the records, and then I say 2 prayers at the end to close the records. And these prayers coincide with school when we would do the prayers, opening ones at the start of a class and closing ones at the closure of a class. And then I do an invocation. I base my invocation on Linda Howe's template, but I've come up with my own template to open the records. So in following up on some of the things that have come up previously, I noticed there was some natural disaster, catastrophe in Bangladesh. And I want to just add that in July, I did have Bangladesh that came up in the records, and I wasn't sure why. And, usually things are pretty close to events that happen if they come up at all. And, now I know why Bangladesh came up back in July. So my heart goes out to anybody who is suffering there and stranded and, without shelter. So, and of course, my heart goes out to everybody who is suffering at this time and space. I speak of upcoming darkness, but of course, we know the darkness is continuous. A lot of, bad things happen in the world all the time. So I want to acknowledge that. Sometimes I talk about it as futuristic without really acknowledging all of what's happening in the world right now that isn't affecting me directly, but certainly, it's affecting all of us viscerally and some directly. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to kind of mention is yesterday I said about the chess players making their moves when Biden relinquished his nominee for the Democratic nominee to Kamala Harris. They the record people said previous to that, a few days before, that they were shifting. The chess players were shifting. And yesterday I mentioned the chess players were making a move. And I think that relates to Donald Trump's re-indictment that happened last night. I think I saw it last night in the Epic Times when I saw like a little headline for it, and also the New York Times. So that was interesting to see the move, which I think they were referring to. Also yesterday, two things came up that I neglected to mention. One was I saw a group of people or beings around a canyon. So it's like this cavernous or canyon space. And then I saw these people, these light workers around the space. So I don't know what that means. I got a sense it was like kind of a post-apocalyptic event in the earth. Maybe an earth rift or, some kind of like collapse of some area of the earth. And there were going to be like visuals of people or beings that were going to be praying around this, this event and this canyon. The second thing that I failed to mention was I got the biblical passage, Exodus 12, and I didn't know what Exodus 12 was. So I looked it up, and it seems like it has to do with Passover, that God was going to pass over the Jewish homes and, help with freeing them from slavery, starting the assistance for the Exodus and the freedom from slavery back then in a long time ago, centuries ago. So I wanted to mention that because what I thought of, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, sometimes my interpretations can be off. But what I did think about was that we can be prepared, like from a material perspective, for what's coming. Let's say have water or, do this or that. But really, our best preparation is being aligned with truth and authenticity and integrity and the light within, so that we can be aligned with the light above. So I just wanted to mention that. So today, the first grouping of what I received seemed to have to do with a situation in Portland, Maine. And I got a sense, and I don't know if this is biased because I really hope that this is true, but I got a sense that that the people there could be or would be rescued at this house, potentially on Orange Street in Portland, Maine, that I envisioned was, a house that was being used for human trafficking and also drug trafficking. So they said they are coming to rescue the people, the house. Who, I said, who's coming? The cavalry. And they winked. There will be a rescue of the people in the house. Rest assured. And then I saw a boat coming to shore, and I wasn't sure if it was metaphoric boat coming to shore or literal. And then I got a sense within the police department, there were factions that were in disagreement on how to handle the situation. And it felt like a sergeant there was good. Like he was, it felt like a he, and it felt like he was going to push an agenda forward where maybe the powers above him were kind of fighting him. So that was what I got. They said muddy waters will soon clear. And then I got a personal message about a friend. And then I saw Enki. So Enki is like this, I don't know who Enki is, but if you look into what's her name? Elena Danan's work, she talks about Enki. A lot of the people who are into the ETs talk about Enki as like a benign being. And I do think that this is true because this little Enki comes through to me. He mentioned forest fires burning out of control. Greenlands will become wastelands. The keys will unlock many doors. It's like Enki is showing me things. He looks happy to connect with me. Oregon came up, not sure why, but the state of Oregon. Also a place called Reed's Island or Reed Island. I know there's a Reed Island, I think in the state of Washington, I think maybe in South America. So kind of going to be looking for anything coming up around Reed Island or Reed's Islands, Oregon. And then Enki showed me or I was shown dark forces and a spaceship overhead almost like a surveillance ship. And they had these laser beams beaming in, and they were hovering, I want to say in outer space. It could have been around the Jupiter belt, not sure exactly where they were, but they were definitely hovering. These dark beings that were surveilling, or they were using surveillance and laser beams. And then I got the message they were plotting the annihilation of humanity. The south of France came up. I got a sense that the Democrats don't like Harris, that she's going off script from the script that they've written for her. She's doing her own thing. They don't like her self-centeredness. Their self-centeredness, or her, excuse me, her self-centeredness from their perspective could be mucking things up. That's what I got. And I've gotten that twice. So at one point, I stepped out of the paradigm of this kind of negativity. I was like, oh, this is negative. I kind of want to get out of here. So I stepped out. I almost moved to the right, and then I was in like a cloud area, and I saw these angelic beings. And they said, you know, there is an island of hope. There is hope. And I was looking for the Pleiades. This is really unusual for me to be looking for the ETs. And I saw like a woman ambassador of the Pleiades, and they said, we are here to save you or serve you. We're here to serve you. We are your friends. We want no harm to humans. And I was not fully trusting. I wasn't so much that I couldn't trust maybe, but I just don't yet trust ETs. I'm not really sure about ETs yet. So, but I felt like she came as offering like a peaceful, you know, what's the word? Like a, you know, offering a carrot or whatever. And she said, we're for the forces of good. And then I saw like concentric circles, like these concentric circles of light. And I said, well, where's Jesus? And he said, I'm here, sister of love. Don't be afraid. Get out of your mind. Get out of your mind. And then I, unfortunately, I went back into my mind and I saw these Nazi troops. I wondered if it had to do with World War II. And I got a sense that it was almost like this restart from the Second World War, and that we should be prepared. And that's when I asked, should, you know, what should we do? Like, should we do like preparedness, you know, water, all that stuff? And then I remembered the Exodus 12 passage that I had looked up the day before, and got a sense that to be more aligned spiritually was more important than to worry about third dimensional preparedness. And I got a blessing from my ancestors. On my mother's side, they said, keep going. All will be well soon. Enjoy your garden. And I think they meant my literal garden. I have a huge garden. I received a flower from Jesus and from the ancestors. So I also wanted just to add, I don't know if you can see it in my hand. I got stung by a yellow jacket yesterday on my hand and on my hip. I had been talking to one of my friends about some of the stuff that I had been getting, about some international stuff. And I had already shared it here, so I'm not going to share it again. But anyway, this is the second time that I've been attacked by a yellow jacket or yellow jackets. I got multiple stings, I think from maybe one or two of these jackets yesterday, these yellow jackets. And that happened to me maybe 3 weeks ago, and I've never been stung in my life. And I was wondering in the records, were they like almost like these negative beings, like trying to like come in at me? And I'm not sure, you know, obviously don't know. It could just be a yellow jacket, of course. Um, but I asked about, were they part of an ET group? And then mantis came up. But I just question if I really got an accurate one on that one. It's about the mantis. I don't know if it had anything to do. It was more me thinking like, what is the name of an ET group that's more insects? And the word mantis came up and I thought of praying mantis, but I don't think that is true, but I'm going to mention it anyway, just because. So anyway, thanks for listening today. Hopefully, this all made sense. If you have any questions, comments, if you're working with different groups yourself, hopefully groups of the light, please share if you are familiar with the Pleiadians or any of the groups that I've mentioned, Arcturians and Syrians, and they're coming to you, or you're getting your own downloads. I would love to hear about that in the comments. Thank you.